Today I'm playing every Need for Speed game ever made.
I grew up loving these games, but lately I've been wondering if they actually hold up.
So to find out once and for all, I've bought every game over the last 30 years, including fan favorites, weird spin-offs I've never even heard of, and some that nearly broke me. And where better to start than with the first Need for Speed.
It's 1994 and Electronic Arts drops the first Need for Speed game ever made, under the name Road and Track presents The Need for Speed. Now, for context, at this time, cell phones were built like bricks. Tom Cruise is a vampire.
I like to do it. I enjoy it.
And racing games look like this. Which makes this game a pretty big deal for the time, because it's got realistic interiors that surprisingly work, gorgeous racetracks, and one of the best intros I've ever seen.
Yo, let's go!
But what's most important about this game is how it'll grow into one of the greatest racing franchises in the world. Three years later, and EA gives us Need for Speed 2 on March 31st, 1997. The intro's better, dinosaurs are drivable using the magic of cheat codes, there's support for the vastly superior metric system, and every car now has a built-in history lesson.
The GT90's hybrid V12 power plant can generate an enormous 720 horsepower.
But the best part of this Need for Speed is the new tracks, letting you drive around the wonders of Canada, race through the flat walls of Australia.
There's no way I hit the one part of the wall that was perfectly flat.
And survive the snow-topped mountains of Nepal.
How are we feeling about my odds here? Don't answer. It's fine.
I don't think I like Nepal. Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit is goose frickin' tastic. The new intro, even better. The music's basically become part of the game's identity, and the game looks better than ever. But the best part of this Need for Speed is the new Hot Pursuit mode.
Don't let me catch you speeding again. I'll bust you bad next time.
I didn't like the way he said that.
The idea is simple. You race and the cop pursues.
Easy!
You're busted.
But after being humbled by 30-year-old racing games, I started to notice something interesting. You see, with newer games, it's become the standard to remove all forms of challenge, so no matter what your skill level is, you can always feel confident you'll be able to complete whatever the game throws at you. Which, I mean, makes a ton of sense until you realize nothing matters. You're not learning anything, you're not getting any better, and at any time it gets hard, you know you can just tweak the settings so you never lose. Turning a lot of newer games into movies with extra steps.
Not bad. Exit procedure was a bit rough.
But these games, they don't care about you. In fact, I think they actively hate me.
Oh,
That's
is that...
your best lap. You placed last.
Which actually became the fun, because it gave me something to look forward to. Something that shows me I'm learning what Need for Speed is trying to teach me.
Secret road! I knew that was there.
Even if some lessons did leave me speechless.
Cactus.
So here's what you need to know about Need for Speed High Stakes. Number 1, it releases March 24th, 1999 for PlayStation and PC. Number 2, whoever made that intro needs to be retroactively promoted.
Okay, dude!
And number 3, this game has a train level, and I love everything about that. Look, I don't know why every guy in the world seems to love trains, but we just do. It's right up there with throwing big things into the water or smashing ice on the ground. Guys everywhere will just see that and collectively nod. But High Stakes is far from done, because the main menu is a frickin' vibe. I mean, helicopters are now drivable, and the selection of cars is so stacked it's basically begging Tom to say the line. It's got Mercedes, Jaguars, and of course the almighty Porsche. But unfortunately, the second more than 3 cars show up on screen,
Bro, I can't see it.
the game turns into a frickin' PowerPoint presentation that's so slow I can feel corporate smiling.
Checks out.
Nobody wants corporate happy. Nobody. It's March 29th, 2000, and EA releases a Need for Speed game dedicated to Porsche cars. And lucky for you, I'm something of a Porsche expert myself.
I just love the way it feels when everybody thinks I own a Porsche.
Founded by Ferdinand Porsche in 1931, the Porsche is the epitome of European luxury. It's fast, typically yellow, and comes with merch only non-Porsche owners seem to wear.
Only an idiot would wear this stuff if you didn't have the car, right?
But while it's strange to focus on just one car brand for the entire Need for Speed game, wait until you see what's under the hood, because the game gives you a full history of the car's manufacturer in what is literally impossible to describe.
Hey, yo, my history class was a little different.
The new tracks, the music, even the Porsches themselves, they all look and sound Goose-tastic.
I could see someone picking this game up for the first time and being like, this is real life. Back in the day, I could definitely see that.
But I gotta come clean. The game's just not that fun. At least that's what I thought. Until I found the 911 GT3, because from that point on, this game becomes one of the greatest racing games I've ever played.
Yo, this car is incredible!
No cap skibbity, FR, I ain't tripping on God, sheesh. And yeah, I know that sounded like I was having a stroke, but I literally couldn't stop playing the game once I found this car. And more importantly, I couldn't stop winning.
You won the race.
I'm the greatest racer in the world.
I was a frickin' Greek-Canadian god, as the kids say, driving around the tracks with ease.
I was never the problem.
As far as I was concerned, I was unfrickin' stopped.
Okay, well, point taken.
Immovable walls aside, the true brilliance of Porsche Unleashed is the new chase mode. The idea is simple. You're in the greatest Porsche known to man, and Satan's behind the wheel of a cop car looking to take you down. If he catches you,
You don't hit any poles, it should be possible. You hit a pole almost immediately.
you lose. If you can't make 90-degree turns,
No!
you lose. If you so much as breathe wrong into the eyes of Beelzebub himself, guess what, buddy?
Stop!
You lose.
This has to be possible. Children did this in the 90s. It has to be possible.
But it's like I said before, these early Need for Speed games just don't care how I feel. And I really do think they actively hate me. The rules are the rules, so it's up to me to figure out what I'm doing wrong in order to improve, which, yeah, may sound miserable. No. Until you realize that it's that challenge that makes the win that much sweeter.
Yes!
Here's a fun fact. All of this cost me $799.40 in a currency that's basically worthless. So to make sure that my wife doesn't murder me, this video is brought to you by War Thunder,
the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, which you can play on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and mobile devices using the link to my pinned comment and video description.
because man, if she knew that I spent $120 on just this game,
But on the bright side, you can take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of 10 major nations, ranging from biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to fighter jets and main battle tanks of today. Immerse yourself in the intense combat of War Thunder, where incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and authentic sound effects place you right at the helm of the most powerful war machines of our time.
and she's gonna flip when she finds out this one was $80.
Join a worldwide community of over 70 million players in epic PvP battles today and delve into the breathtaking experience that is War Thunder. With an unmatched wealth of high-quality content to discover, there's simply no game better suited for fans of military history. In fact, what's nice about War Thunder is that it offers 3 distinct modes, each ramping up realism progressively. You got an arcade mode for those craving fast-paced matches with enhanced vehicle performance and simplified physics, while simulator mode ditches all guardrails for the ultimate challenge. And And realistic mode? Well, it's the perfect middle ground, striking a balance between intensity and authenticity. No matter which way you play, War Thunder's got it all.
But because this is actually the first sponsor I've ever done,
War Thunder is giving anyone who hasn't played the game in the last 6 months a massive bonus pack for PC and console platforms.
And I bet my wife would love that.
You'll get multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium, all available for a limited time.
So if you want more Goose content, then check out War Thunder before my wife figures out what I've done.
Hey, why is our credit card so big?
Do the right thing.
Fast forward to October 1st, 2002 in the new millennium, and the world has changed. Suddenly, all brick-based phones became indestructible. Tom Cruise is predicting the nightmare land we're all moving towards.
But it proves the system works.
But most importantly, video games are now releasing on newer, much more powerful video game consoles. So with that being said, does Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 put the pedal to the metal?
Yo, I'm just gonna say it. Yo, Need for Speed's kind of awesome. Okay? It's literally awesome.
Straight up, this game is video game history. In fact, if you played this growing up, you're guaranteed to have had a good childhood. That's just the law, because this game defines what Need for Speed will and won't be for years to come, with the most important change coming from its new developers, EA Black Box, a new Canadian studio that'll eventually create some of the greatest racing games in the world. But we'll touch on those later. For now, let's talk about what makes this Need for Speed so special, because thanks to those new consoles, this game looks the best it ever has. It's got the most nostalgic racetracks I've ever played, more fantastic cheat codes, and unsurprisingly, another fantastic soundtrack.
I'll bust you bad next time.
But the best part of Hot Pursuit 2 comes from the way it handled progression.
Congratulations! You have won the goal!
And I know, progression sounds simple. You do a thing, you get a bigger, better thing, and you repeat to get even more bigger, better things. But it's actually a lot trickier than you think. See, what you don't want is a bunch of random numbers going up to unlock a bunch of random stuff. That's not progression. It's bait to keep you playing what is probably a bad game. What you actually want is to subtly train the player to get better using that progression, which is exactly what Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 gets right. Because the player is only rewarded after achieving either gold, silver, or bronze medals in the race, incentivizing the player to learn the tracks and how their car handles if they want to succeed. And that's the beauty of this Need for Speed, because sure, underneath the amazing progression is a really fun racing game, but having that incredible gameplay as the foundation the progression can build from is what makes this game feel like it's impossible to put down.
54 County, this boy's done.
Look, I'll be honest, there's no way they top this one. This might be one of the greatest Need for Speed games ever made. Hot off the wheels of the Fast and Furious movies comes Need for Speed Underground on November 17th, 2003. A street racing, high-octane, hip-hop infused flashback to the 2000s that had me feeling some type of way.
Yeah!
But before I give you my feelings on Need for Speed Underground, I gotta come clean. See, lately I've been struggling to connect with not only newer racing games, but most big budget games. For some reason, they just don't seem to hit me the same way they used to. And I wanted to know why. Now, while it's true that newer games come with higher costs, more microtransactions, and an always online connection that can frankly be annoying, that's never really been my main problem. Which just left me wondering if the games were the problem, or if I was just growing up.
Everything about Need for Speed Underground is just straight gas, dude.
Oh yeah, it's 100% the games, because even 20 years later, this Need for Speed has everything.
It's legitimately an amazing game. I'm just at the first level.
It's got the tightest controls that feel incredible on this controller, by the way. Music that could and should get any grown man to get low. An easy to understand progression system for pimping out your Goose mobile. A drift mode, a drag racing mode, secret tunnels.
Secret tunnel.
Well, let's call a spade because this Need for Speed does have one giant problem that may put a lot of you off, because the racetracks are reused a lot. In fact, you're gonna play them backwards, forwards, in the middle, from the side, from the other side, with traffic, without traffic. Pick a way, and you'll probably play it that way. And while that can get old, it also kind of forced me to become a frickin' god at the game.
This one I'll use a handbrake. Wait, no, I won't.
Look at that. Because I was racing every single way a track possibly could be raced, allowing me to not only race on the hardest difficulty for the first time ever, but get this, win.
Won't even look. Watch. Nailed it. I already know I nailed it.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, remake this game, EA. Like, what are we doing? Do you not like money? Like, remake the game. Hey Goose. Yeah, other Goose. Is this a Need for Speed game? No, it isn't, other Goose. Because this is Burnout 3 Takedown, one of the world's greatest racing games ever made. And because Electronic Arts happens to own both the Need for Speed and Burnout franchises, they just so happen to include a fully fledged demo in our next Need for Speed game. Oh, this is happening right now. But before we get to that one, we gotta talk about Burnout, because Burnout will not only become incredibly important to the future of Need for Speed, it will literally become Need for Speed. But some of you might be wondering, what the heck is Burnout, Goose? To put simply, if Need for Speed is hip-hop, I've never felt whiter. Burnout is punk rock. Every single thing you do in this game is frickin' awesome. And even when it isn't, it is. Yeah. See, it's a video game in its purest form, made to drive fast with the most noise possible. And that's all you need to know about this series and its British developers, Criterion Games. Because these guys have no interest in being taken seriously. They don't care about realism. The only thing they care about is having fun.
Take me back, dude! It was better then! Objectively better!
And strangely, for 2025, that's refreshing. It's November 9th, 2004, and EA decides to release Need for Speed Underground 2 the same day everyone with a pulse is playing Halo 2. But thankfully, if you got this instead of Halo, you're still coming out on top, because Underground 2 takes everything from the first game and pushes it to the frickin' limit. Like the story, for example.
What is happening?
Which is now told through a very unique comic book style that feels like it was pulled straight out of the mind of Dominic Toretto. But the most important change comes from the gameplay, because Underground 2 is actually the first Need for Speed game in the franchise to support an open world. Taking place in a neon-soaked Los Angeles sprinkled with just about every 2000s reference you can imagine.
Trunk audio? Yeah! Dang, this is 2000s, dude.
And it's not long until you start to see how everything comes together to create something special. The nightlife, the cars, the music, and the atmosphere, it all feels perfect, with the racing of the previous Underground fitting naturally in an open world setting. Shortly after playing the game, I realized there's no fast travel at all, meaning no matter what you want to do, you're gonna have to drive there in order to do it. Which, like, sure, it's a racing game, that makes sense, but somehow it caused the progression to feel dramatically slower, since you actually have to take the time to manually drive to each individual event.
No way. There's no way. Game? Come on, game.
And that not only adds up, it started to worry me, because young Goose frickin' loved this game, and I was afraid it wasn't gonna hold up. But after winning my first drag race, my first sprint, and getting my first set of Goosemobile upgrades, oh boy, it all started making sense. Suddenly, Riders on the Storm is blasting as I'm racing, causing time to just fly by. And then it hits me. I was home again. And for that moment, nothing else mattered. Now, I know I've said this a couple times already, but Need for Speed Most Wanted might be one of the greatest racing games ever made.
The winner's circle's over here.
In fact, here's 3 things you should know. Number 1, this game drops November 11, 2005, right as the world's shifting once again. Because cell phones can now fold. Tom Cruise is learning how to parent under an alien invasion.
Food.
And most importantly, this game launches on the newer and more powerful Xbox 360. Which brings me to number 2. Most Wanted's got the craziest story cutscenes I've ever seen.
And they're gonna love you in the big house, baby.
Which is how we meet our main protagonist, and of course, the main villain, Razor frickin' Callahan.
She's mine now. And I'm gonna ride her like you never could.
Yeah, that's just the greatest name ever made, which I know is a fact because I still remember it 20 years later. But number 3, the progression of this game is quite simply perfect. You see, the mission's simple. All you have to do is beat every person on the blacklist one by one until you reach Razor. To do that, you'll have to complete a unique set of races and earn enough bounty by doing things in the open world like running away from cops, performing sick jumps, vandalizing donuts, or just being a straight up G, as the kids say.
I'm a straight up G.
And you just repeat this enough times until you reach Razor.
You got a lot of rep to earn before you get to run with him.
That's it, and it's freaking genius. But look, the best part of Most Wanted is hands down the open world of Rockport, because it just feels alive, with secret tracks, destructibility, and big freaking jumps.
A street racer has just been reported eastbound on Chancellor Way.
But it's how Most Wanted makes going fast feel fast that's interesting. You see, the game adds tiny details like painting road lines horizontally with cracks on the road to make driving past them feel faster than it otherwise would be. It also adds speed lines to your vehicle once you top out, making you feel like supersonic.
Meow?
And like I said before, the soundtrack for these games aren't just for listening. They're meant for building speed, which is a pretty big difference. For example, here I am racing with music that gets the people going. And here I am again with a completely different track. Sure, both songs sound good, but only one of them makes you want to take sick jumps at 900 kilometers an hour. I am once again begging CEO Jonathan EA to remake this game. For the love of God, you know that we love Most Wanted, and we know that you love money. I mean, can we all just spam, "Come on, Jonathan, it's time" in the comments? Because quite frankly, it's time. Need for Speed Carbon drops October 31st, 2006, and there's some good news and some bad news. First, the bad news. My disc wasn't exactly working. That is not good. And when I pulled it out to investigate, well... oh god, that's not good. Clearly the last guy liked Carbon a little too much. But here's the good news. As it turns out, apparently you can just fix scratched discs with some simple household toothpaste. So, yeah, I tried it. All you have to do is smear an irresponsible amount of toothpaste on the disc, massage it tenderly, then rinse it off with some cold water and... well, that's fantastic. Yeah, if anything, I think I made the game worse. So, but hey, at least now I have a minty smelling coaster for my morning coffee. Luckily, I freaking love you guys, so $100 later, I express shipped a new copy of Need for Speed Carbon, and after a few days, I was back to the races. But what I didn't know is that Carbon's just a direct sequel to Most Wanted. It's got the same BMW, the same cop guy, the same overdramatic acting and effects that are just as hilarious as the last time.
And I'll stick around and I'll help out. Make sure she's not too hard on you.
And to my surprise, the more I played it, the more I realized that Carbon is just the best of Underground 2 and Most Wanted fused together. Carbon copy, if you will. It's got the nightlife and customization of Underground 2 and the open world, cops, and handling of Most Wanted. But Carbon isn't just a rehash because it brought a few new ideas to the table.
That's great. I'm the monkey.
For example, you can recruit and build up a crew to fight other crews who have control over the city. And these guys actually help you in races with their own special abilities, like blocking other racers, finding shortcuts, and even slingshotting you forward, shake and bake style.
Makes no sense, so it's shake and bake, it's nonsense.
Look, I went into Carbon thinking there was no way to top Most Wanted. But somehow, even with just a year of development, EA Black Box clutches it once again. It's got an incredible sense of speed, great handling, simple customization, secret paths, huge air,
Okay, you're in front. Let's keep it.
and over-the-top unrealistic destruction. At this point, Need for Speed is basically perfect, and I hope it never changes. Need for Speed ProStreet is surprisingly not a Need for Speed game, at least not like the others. You see, it released November 14, 2007 as a slower, more realistic sim racing game. And you might be wondering, why? I have no idea. In fact, as you'll see later, this won't be the last time that Need for Speed changes its identity, but trust me, we'll touch on that later. For now, all you need to know is that Microsoft's Forza Motorsport games got super popular, and John EA thought to himself,
Money.
but not so fast, Jonathan, because as I said before, this is a sim racing game, which is considerably less popular than traditional racing games, or as they were mostly known at the time, Need for Speed games. Now, unsurprisingly, this may cause fans of the series to be a little shocked with ProStreet. In fact, I can't even imagine what it'd be like for a kid at Christmas getting a new Need for Speed game. Can you imagine? Corporate decisions aside, let's get to the core of the game. It's this, a multicolored line. You just follow it. The point is, you're going to be looking at this thing for a very, very, very long time, and basically only this thing, which is a shame given how gorgeous this game looks for 2007. But my favorite part of ProStreet was when the 20-year-old game forced me to connect to the internet on a console that doesn't understand modern Wi-Fi technology, just so I could play what I clearly own offline. Why? Need for Speed Undercover is the type of game you get when the executive team forgets that developers haven't seen their families in years. Releasing on November 18, 2008, Undercover feels like a Frankenstein of different Need for Speed games glued together into a nightmare land of empty streets and cranes. Holy smokes, that's a lot of cranes. Presented through the lens of CW superstar Maggie Q.
Your job is to drive. My job is to get you in. Nothing more, nothing less.
That's right, not only has the gang decided to hire the lead of 2010's action thriller, Nikita,
my name is Nikita.
They've also decided to go back to the Most Wanted and Carbon style of Need for Speed. The reason?
Money!
Except they forgot about a few key things. See, you technically get to play in an open world that's similar to Most Wanted, but you really can't do anything. In fact, the city feels like a metaphor for developer morale.
Please, kill me.
But that's not all. You're fined for existing, the destruction is almost laughable, the cops are blinder than Al.
I'll bust you bad. Next time.
There's literally no traffic ever. The game seems to be covered in Vaseline, and for some reason, there's like a billion cranes, which when you start to see it is impossible to unsee. Why are there so many cranes? That's too many cranes. But hey, at least the jumps are still fun. Driving off-road. It's November 3rd, 2009, my favorite day of the year, and Jonathan and his team of executives at Electronic Arts see a problem with the Need for Speed franchise. Because based off the last few games, it's been pretty clear we're starting to have an identity crisis here. In fact, if they didn't act fast, this could mark the beginning of the end for Need for Speed. But at the same time, the Nintendo Wii sure was popular now, wasn't it?
We would like to play.
Which can only mean one thing.
Money!
Thus, Need for Speed Nitro was born, an arcade racing game built exclusively for the Nintendo Wii and mobile devices, which might leave you with a few questions such as, will my kids like this game? Well, that depends. Do they like Caillou?
That's me!
Is this game bad? Well, that depends. Do you like Caillou?
Why am I bald? I'm not a baby.
Are the motion controls fun to use? Well, that depends. Does this look fun?
More! Ow!
I'd rather watch Caillou. With the release of Need for Speed Shift, the franchise is now 100% having an identity crisis, because what clearly evolved into an incredibly popular and successful arcade racer has now become an open-world story-based racer, a sim racer, and whatever the heck this is. But now, with Need for Speed Shift, the franchise has returned once again to the world of simulation racing.
Okay, run it just the way you always do, nice and easy.
Except, this one feels different. Like I was having a fantastic time playing it. I mean, first off, how good does this look? Because we're in 2009, for God's sakes. For context, this is what a normal 2009 game looked like.
Where'd she go? That took my skull.
Now, second off, I might have memed on the racing line in ProStreet, but this time it's completely won me over. For whatever reason, when you follow this line from inside of a car's cockpit, it's like ADHD crack. Yeah, Shift might be slower than other Need for Speeds, that's totally true, but I never wanted this to stop. Playing it was like having a brain massage. The only thing I cared about was the line.
The line, the line, the line, the line, the line loves you. The line needs you. The line wants you to go down the steps. Brick by brick.
Look, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I have a single bad thing to say about Need for Speed Shift. It's just a delight that no doubt acted as an entry point for a lot of simulation racers. So, honestly, great job, EA. Because, I'll be real, I thought you guys were gonna do something crazy, like charge us real money for the first car in the game.
I'm gonna go Honda Civic, it's not even a question. Microsoft points.
You disgust me. Fun fact, they made a Need for Speed MMO. Then they killed it. Ladies and gentle geese, this is the big one. Releasing on November 16th, 2010, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is my favorite racing game of all time, and it's not even close. Because for the very first time, this Need for Speed is made by none other than Criterion Games, who, as I mentioned before, were the original creators of the Burnout franchise that I love. But what's interesting here is Criterion doesn't make a Need for Speed game. Not exactly, because that'd be too easy. Instead, they make a spiritual successor to Burnout under the name Hot Pursuit. And let me tell you, it's Goose freaking tastic. This game literally has everything you could ever want in a Need for Speed game. The cars feel fast. The soundtrack is one of the best of all time. There's secret tunnels, secret roads, car-on-car destruction. And for the first time since 2002, you get to play as cops. But it gets better because on top of everything I mentioned, they give both cops and racers special abilities, making racing the most hectic and most fun it's ever been. You see, as a racer, you're given spike strips, jammers, and super turbos meant for escaping. Whereas when you're a cop, you're given roadblocks, choppers, and EMPs meant to take other people down. They're all unique and all incredibly fun to use.
Shake and bake.
What?
Shake and bake.
Hold on.
down to the last minute detail.
But Hot Pursuit actually has another secret weapon, Autolog, a simplified leaderboard system that will become synonymous with Need for Speed due to the way it constantly keeps you in competition with your friends. See, every day you'd boot up Hot Pursuit and without fail, Autolog would show you all of the races that your friends had beat you on. And with every race only taking a few minutes, it made it almost impossible not to try to beat them. And that's why this is my favorite Need for Speed game, because it's the only one that always had my full attention. It's the only one that got me to get gold in every single event. And it's the only one that made drifting feel like something that you could master. When I think of Need for Speed, this is the first game that always comes to mind. Because to me, Hot Pursuit is the purest sense of a video game. It doesn't care about realism. It doesn't care about story. It just wants you to have the most amount of fun as possible. And I love that. It's 2011 and Electronic Arts decides to drop not one, but two Need for Speed games for some reason, with the first one being Shift 2 releasing on March 29th, which of course means Need for Speed is a sim racer once again. But not much has really changed since the first one, if I'm being honest. The game's UI still looks like the best thing ever, the visual quality still looks unfrickin' believable for 2011, the racing line still whispers dark things into my ears.
You should watch the Need for Speed movie now streaming on Disney Plus of all things.
And you can still buy cars with real money.
I'm gonna roll with the Honda Civic. I'm a simple man.
You know, it's always funny when I make these videos because you can always see exactly when video games start to get more and more corporate, and without fail, it's always the 2010s.
But look, that's not the only thing that's funny about Need for Speed Shift 2, because thanks to some incredible community members, I was made aware of the single greatest track in Need for Speed history. A figure eight the size of my kitchen that lets you race against 16 other players. And it is frickin' chaos. These guys so— whoa! Oh my god, oh my god! That guy is dead!
But it's just like I said before, because sometimes that push—
oh my god, look at me. Bro! I pushed through! I pushed through! I'm third! Oh my god, I'm third!
Makes the journey—
dude, I'm first! Dude, nothing can stop me!
that much sweeter.
Oh my god, that was the most exhilarating race I've ever experienced in my life.
Need for Speed The Run is the second Need for Speed game EA drops in 2011, releasing November 15th, just 4 days after Skyrim. And it might be one of the stupidest video games I've ever played. I love it. You see, in Need for Speed The Run, the series goes back to the campy style open world that Most Wanted and Carbon popularized without the open world part.
Ready?
Locked and loaded.
And in its place is one of the greatest premises I've ever seen in a racing game. Seriously, I'm not joking. You play some guy who's ultimately not important, tasked with racing 250 other people across America to settle a debt. But what makes this game so interesting is that it's a giant mega race that's split up into multiple tiny races across the entire country. It's kind of like a car battle royale. You'll race on highways, farmland, and even the mountains as you creep up the list. In fact, when you pass someone, you'll notice you won't actually be passing in 8th or 6th place, because instead you'll be passing the place the person is across the entire country. And that's not only really cool, it fits naturally into the progression of the game. But let's back up, because you actually can't race until you pick your car. One that you'll have to choose very carefully at the start of the game, due to each car having very specific strengths and weaknesses, as I will soon find out. So of these three, I happen to pick the Mustang, mainly because it's the one on the cover of the game. But that quickly became a problem for me. See, if you remember, when I was playing Underground, I had more fun playing on hard, and ever since then, I just never stopped. because it turned out playing on hard made me focus more, and for me at least, made it a lot more fun. That is until I played what is probably the hardest thing in my life. Allow me to explain. See, the rules of this race are pretty simple. All you gotta do is reach each checkpoint within the time it gives you. If you fail, you get to restart at the most recent checkpoint. Bro, that is so unfair! If you fail more than 3 times, you have to restart at the very beginning. The only catch is, the Mustang might have the worst handling in the game. You don't need to fishtail so much, Mr. Mustang. And it's even harder when you're racing across a mountain. Just stay on the road, okay? Causing me to fail every single time. You need to make up time, so go fast. Yeah, hurry up, go fast. But look, I'm not the give up goose, I'm the Zenkai goose, and Zenkai means coming back stronger. So I tried again. Hurry up, okay? And again. And again. And again. Until... So yeah, this game is stupid, but I love it. With this year's Need for Speed, Criterion's back at it again, releasing October 30th, 2012, with a reboot of the original Most Wanted that's basically nothing like the original Most Wanted. But while I loved Criterion's last game, this one is some weird hybrid of Burnout and Most Wanted made in the most sterile way possible. Basically, it's just incredibly boring. And you might have a few questions like, why did they call it Most Wanted if it's nothing like the original Most Wanted? Or why did they make this instead of a sequel to Burnout Paradise? Or why did they make me pay real money for cars that are just sitting there? Oh, yo, let's get that. That looks kind of cool. But the most disappointing part of Need for Speed Most Wanted is hands down the progression. You see, around this time, video games started implementing what I like to call Drew Carey's Law.
That's right, the points here are just for appearances only, just like my gym bag.
Causing games to change from something that you win, that was a close one, to something that you experience.
Finishing first or second wins mods for your car.
Meaning, nothing matters. See, in this game, winning earns you money that you can use on new cars and upgrades. But so does last place. Beating the Most Wanted racers does get you newer, cooler cars. But they're also just littered across the city to use any time. Hey, there's a car here. Basically, there's no stakes. But 2012's Most Wanted has another problem most people don't talk about: the graphics. In fact, let me just show you. You see, before you could race at Mach 12 speeds and clearly see what you were doing. It's been like that for years, decades even. But now it's become almost impossible due to realistic lighting, foliage, reflections, and basically anything developers could think of to make this game pop. God, it's impossible to see! Yeah, it looks good when the car is stopped, but when it's moving, it can be tough to see where you're going. Oh, I could have taken a sick jump there. Oh, I missed it! What's weird about this game is it just feels like the exact opposite of Hot Pursuit. Where Hot Pursuit was fast and easy to understand, Most Wanted is incredibly noisy and confusing. Where Hot Pursuit had clear objectives to win, Most Wanted doesn't care what you do. And that was a huge bummer given how much I loved Hot Pursuit. Heck, even the jumps are ads. Big jump! You had one job, you had one stupid job, you had one stupid job, you had one stupid job. It's November 15, 2013, and guess what? The world's changed once again, because phones are now touchable. Tom Cruise made an Elder Scrolls movie. That's impossible. And most importantly, we got 2 brand new and even more powerful consoles. The one made for TV.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my movie and zoom back to it.
And the one made for video games. So with all that new horsepower, expectations are high. But does Rivals deliver? Hey, this might be one of the greatest Need for Speeds, low-key. Not only is Need for Speed Rivals a blast to play, it's got the best premise since Need for Speed's The Run.
Either that or I got a power fantasy, I don't know, is one of them.
See, just like Hot Pursuit, you get to play as cops and racers once again. One avoids, one pursues, but no matter which you choose, everybody gets to race in sick cars. And it's Goose-tastic. But the twist in Rivals is that it's an always online experience, meaning that while you're driving around, you'll actually see other players doing things that feel illegal.
Could use a little assistance here. It's 3-on-1. We got ourselves a good old Canadian standoff.
Which, I gotta be honest, makes playing a cop incredibly rewarding and very easy to roleplay.
I've lost him. He threw a tree at me. Clearly a wizard, can use elements.
But hold on to your horsepower, because Rivals does have a few problems. First, the game seems to think anyone playing it might be the dumbest person on planet Earth.
Start any event, pull up to the start location and press the button. Your goal
Is that necessary? Because every single second of the game, you're given some pop-up with some tip to make sure you understand what you have to do next.
Oh my god.
Which, by the way, is usually just race this super fast car as fast as you can.
Like, is this necessary?
Now, the second problem with Rivals comes back down to progression once again. Put simply, nothing matters. Right out the rip, you're given the coolest cars and win points no matter what place you get. So yeah, Drew strikes again.
That's right, the points are like the word rapid in rapid transit.
By the way, did you guys know that his glasses are fake? Like, it has no relevance to this video whatsoever, but it's kind of a crazy fact, right? But thankfully, unlike last year's Most Wanted, Rivals is a frickin' pleasure to play.
Suspect is having a gingerly stroll with his wife and kids. Not in my city, sir.
Which is a big deal given the fact that this Need for Speed is the first one developed by Ghost Games, who will be continuing the franchise from here on out. For reasons we can probably guess. But look, on the bright side, it does look like Need for Speed is in the right hands, because for their first time, Ghost Games has done a pretty fantastic job. Now, they do still have room to improve, but make no mistake, there's a lot of potential here for an amazing sequel.
Oh, I know how this goes. Holy smoke-a-rollies.
So let's call a spade, because I'm freaking pumped to play whatever Ghost Games makes next. It can only go up from here.
Oh, my man, you made it. Looking smooth, man. That's good. There's some real people in here tonight. Come on, I'll take you to meet my guys. Come on.
Oh, look what the cat dragged in. Who's Bambi?
This Bambi just busted a 500-foot drift right through the I-5 intersection over Turner, man. What's up, Ames?
What's up?
That's Amy. Isn't she lovely? Oh, love you too, babe.
Why?
Well, you seem to have caught the eye of Speed Racer over here.
Truth, man. This one's a helmsman.
Why?
So whatever's happening under that rib cage in here, it's time to start expressing it out there.
Why?
V-5-4 phones. Hello, ladies.
Hey. Of course I didn't forget. Yes, I will make Shirley gluten-free.
Why?
Oh, come on, little kid. Give me some love.
How is this better? Released on November 6, 2017, Electronic Arts decides to ditch everything about whatever this was.
Oh, come on, little kid. Give me some love.
And everything that actually worked. Hey, this might be one of the greatest Need for Speeds, low-key. 2, copying Microsoft's Forza Horizon series and slapping a story that makes my ears bleed.
Yeah, I'm liking how she sounds, Rav.
Except this isn't the only change that's happened since the 2015 reboot, because while I was in a catatonic shock, I failed to mention that the racing of Need for Speed has been completely overhauled. What happened after Rivals? Why did they not keep the exact same driving models? Put simply, the driving no longer feels like this, or even this. Heck, I wish it felt like this. Instead, it's been completely changed with a more floaty, almost overly mobile feel. In fact, the driving feels like it has a lot more in common with Need for Speed Nitro of all games than normal Need for Speed games. But even when I put aside the new driving style, the actual racing is just boring. I am very bored. Again, I was playing on hard and yet nothing seemed to matter. I was just bored the entire time. Look at the AI, look at the map. Look how far behind they are. I don't even have to really pay attention. Come on, these are laps. Look how far ahead I am. So, I just gotta reiterate. Why would we go from this and even this?
You should take 3 months to make a new video.
To this.
Hey! Hush, puppy. Big fan of your channel.
It's #Tiger.
Yeah.
Tiger selfie.
No,
Here we go.
No, man.
I need to have a meltdown.
Then you're in for a surprise. Because we are coming after you hard, and we are coming after you fast. Trust me.
It doesn't have to be this way! Because I have some serious problems with Need for Speed Heat, which I know might be surprising given the amount of love this game has got. But I can't stand it. Releasing on November 8th, 2019, Need for Speed Heat technically does the following well. The cover art is beautiful. The Miami vibes are a welcome change. Ooh, that was clean. Shout out Need for Speed Heat. That transition was clean. And the saturated art style is refreshing. But the biggest problem is that nothing about what people like about this game actually comes from the game. It just feels so like whatever. Like it doesn't matter. Like nothing I do matters. Like I could get first or like who cares? You see, the story is once again offensively bad.
Step aside, sweetheart. I'm just getting started.
Which, like, my God, is it that hard to write a good car story? Is this impossible?
We were just here.
I hate their story stuff so much. Now, the driving, while a bit better than Payback, is still dramatically worse than the other black box games. Heck, the Porsche one is like 10,000 times better. No. The music feels detached from actual racing. The progression still feels designed by Drew himself.
That's right, the points are just like opera in Alabama.
And let's just call a spade, shall we? Because this is 100% the type of game that you play with a podcast in the background after grabbing it for 80% off.
This is a global Link prepaid call from Adnan Sayed.
Now, sure, the game might have an interesting new Miami coat of paint. 2, 1, this looks clean. Shout out Need for Speed Heat for bringing in the style. But underneath that paint is the same game that gave me heart palpitations earlier. Why? Look, if you like Need for Speed Heat, that's awesome. And I'm glad you're catching up on your favorite podcasts.
An inmate at a Maryland Correctional Facility.
But don't for 1 second mistake this as gold just because it has a little polish. I don't know how else to explain it. Nothing matters. Like, I have no incentive to win this. And that's what's making me have a disconnect right now. All I want is a fun racing game that focuses on everything that made Need for Speed special. And I swear to God, if they just microwave up another Need for Speed game under a new coat of paint, I'm gonna They just made the same game again. It's the same game. It's the same game. Let's go through it. Releasing November 29, 2022, Criterion returns once again with Need for Speed Unbound as the last game in the franchise. But with this game, a few things have changed. See, phones are now turning into something you wear. Tom Cruise is flying jets again.
Just want to manage expectations.
And most importantly, video game consoles have evolved into this. A really big router and an always online mini fridge. So yeah, basically nothing about 2022 is anything like what I thought 2022 would look like. Including this year's Need for Speed, because while this might be the best looking Need for Speed game they've ever made,
yeah, this game looks very beautiful and the style is incredible. Really great idea. Like, that looks great.
With these brand new car effects that make you feel like you're driving right out of a Miles Morales movie.
It's not funny. Don't do that.
Need for Speed Unbound is just that. It's an effect. Look, credit where credit is due. The game does let you drive the coolest red Lamborghini Countach I've ever seen.
Is that not the sickest car known to man?
And yeah, they let you wear outfits that I wear on the reg, but none of it matters. See, there's no meaningful progression. The driving is still based off nightmares. The music feels completely disconnected.
I got bro mumble rapping behind me. It doesn't necessarily make me want to go fast.
Secret tunnels don't seem to matter. Cops are still blinder than Al.
Exactly what we need. More cops who hate racers on the streets.
Look, I don't know why, but for some reason, video games keep adding things just to add them.
There's a battle pass. There's a battle pass in Need for Speed.
And if I'm being honest, they're not the only ones.
This is Vision OS, Apple's first ever spatial operating system.
Because no matter how I feel, the world seems to be moving faster and faster.
In a few minutes, I'm going to be interviewing at OpenAI. Have you heard of them?
With newer, crazier technology releasing every day.
It's incredible, Rocky. What kind of interview?
See, growing up, I remember playing these games wondering just how crazy the world might get and how much fun we'd have when it happened. But now, the future's here. And I don't think I want it. But maybe, just like the games, the world just needs a little push. See, the most, Need for Speed is just a game.
You try to burn me down.
Some go fast.
But my spirit just refine.
Some tell stories.
I think that the gaming world as it is right now is just amazing. It's just blowing up. I mean, I feel absolutely blessed to have been asked to be part of this, not once but twice.
And some have lines. But when you stop to think about it, I think there's a little more to it. Because Need for Speed isn't just a game. It's a memory.
Home, I'll carry you in my heart. Hand in hand, I'll build again.
My childhood.
No one tells you always. My heart will break and expand.
It's history.
I am stronger than before.
Built by hundreds of people we'll probably never get to thank.
Rise, 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 rise.
might have started this video with a pretty simple question.
I grew up loving these games, but lately I've been wondering if they actually hold up.
I think really, in the end, I just wanted to go home. If only for a second. Huge thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Play it for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile using the links in my pinned comment or description. And don't forget, new and returning console and PC players who haven't played in 6 months will get a massive bonus pack including premium vehicles and more available for a limited time.
Did you spend our vacation fund?
If you like this video, then click right here to see me play every single Rockstar game ever. And remember, if Need for Speed can come back stronger, so can you.
I feel the need for speed! And Scientology. Not just speed.